What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about news, current events, opening, a forum for thought exercises, as well as our movie review. We are off 2 weeks. I guess you can call it our summer break. What is it? The first week, Rob wasn't able to do the stream, and then the second week, I wasn't able to do the stream. So we just counted it as our summer break. But we're back, and tonight we'll be for the movie review. We'll be kicking off our Revenge Month. We got some good revenge tale movies. Definitely not this, not the usual Hollywood fare, but I think just as good. Tonight we'll be kicking it off with a South Korean movie called Lady Vengeance. Actually, part of kind of a anthology trilogy thing, where it's like it was all made by the same director, but has the theme of vengeance throughout.
Yeah.
So
And they're all very different.
yeah.
They're all very different, very very interesting. We'll dive into that as we talk about the
Right.
movies.
And there'll be some pretty familiar characters, that go between the movies, and so.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, if you're gonna follow along, then yes, I think it's known as the Vengeance trilogy. Who's the director again, Rob?
Park
Park
Chan-wook.
Chan-wook.
He's done like The Handmaiden, like I said, the Vengeance trilogy.
Wait, the old school
He just
Handmaiden, or
no, so the Handmaiden came out I think in like 2016, and this is like it's a very sexy film, to be honest. It's
no, yeah, but
about like
so
a
not okay. So obviously not the from the original director of the the OG Handmaiden.
oh no, that's the housemaid.
Oh,
That's a different yeah. No, this is like it's set in like the 30s.
uh-huh.
Like it's like this it's like the Korean Eyes Wide Shut, this movie, The Handmaiden.
Ah,
We should cover it at some point. It's pretty damn good.
mm, okay. Anyways,
Yeah, he's done a lot of he does some interesting things. His films deal with some really crazy themes.
okay. So we'll get to it. But yeah, all that in stored. Of course, we'll be talking about pretty much talking about the news of the day. Um, you know, but before we do, it's been 2 weeks, so let's play a little catch up. Yeah. So what were you doing during the summer break?
Mainly, well, I took vacation. It was we kind of did some stuff for our like anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Just had to I normally we were gonna do it like later in the summer, but I kind of liked taking off like 4th of July, and um we ended up we were gonna go to Catalina,
Mm-hmm.
but that turned out to be way too fucking expensive because the activities on Catalina, not a problem, not too pricey. The ferry going there and coming back, crazy expensive. It
How much
was
are we talking about?
almost between the two of us. Huh?
How much are we talking?
It's about $400 for the both of us.
Wait, 400 per or no, 400 for both. So basically 200 per person.
Yeah.
Sheesh. And then that's not even
Yeah,
including
and that,
the hotel accommodations.
well, we were just gonna do a day trip over there.
Oh, I see.
And then but that doesn't cover the parking at like Long Beach for
Oh, dang.
not all that. Yeah, it's just I was like, no,
Yeah,
fuck
they
this.
get you
This
coming
is
and going.
ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. And it's like I would have ended up spending like almost $1,000
Mm-hmm.
that day, and
Jeez.
it's like no, I that's
I know, for
just
one day. For
not something I'm gonna
one
do.
day. That's
Yeah,
absurd.
so we ended up doing a day trip down to San Diego instead. We went snorkeling. We did the San Diego Safari Park,
Hmm.
had some great Mexican food, and uh, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Uh, ended up we ended up watching like a bunch of stuff. Caught Went to go watch Inside Out 2, which is very good.
Nice.
We saw the Bad Boys 4, which is fantastic,
Okay.
and the new Beverly Hills Cop came out on Netflix. That is awesome too. I highly recommend it.
Even though Eddie Murphy no longer does
Um,
the classic Eddie Murphy laugh.
yeah, but like there's a lot there,
Hmm.
man. Like it's a they did a great mix of the old and the new,
Hmm.
and it didn't feel just like, hey, remember this? It wasn't like
Oh, so
that.
it
Everything
wasn't
was
member
felt it.
berries.
No, it wasn't member. Yes, you have those, but like it's not so like, hey, remember? Isn't this funny? It's like no, it's not. It's actually it's a good story. The characters that
So
we
a lot
love
of
are
good
there.
tactful callbacks.
Yeah, yeah, and Eddie Murphy was great.
Hmm.
He did a great job. We got Taggart and Billy, yeah, our favorite detectives there. We got uh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in it. He does a great job. Him and Axel work together really well. So yeah, it's a really really good story, and we enjoyed the hell. I wasn't sure what to expect out of it. I was like, but people were saying, hey, this is don't think this is a bad one. Like check it out. It's actually pretty good,
So
and they weren't people weren't
it
wrong.
wasn't a soulless money grab.
No, no, and well, to be honest, it was a Netflix thing,
Yeah,
so
I know.
it's just it's streaming
Right.
only. But
Well, I mean, also
uh,
Netflix doesn't have the greatest reputation. Um, but all right, by on your recommendation, I'll give it a shot.
oh, dude, I highly recommend it. I'm gonna watch it again. I really, that's how much I really like it. The We ended up going through the entire John Wick
Hmm.
movies, and that was a lot of fun. I showed her. She was like, "Well, what's Keanu Reeves done? Like, what other movies he's done?" And so I ended up showing her Speed
Hmm.
because she hadn't seen that before. That that fucking bus jump makes me laugh every
I
fucking
know.
time. It's
Yeah.
so
So absurd. So absurd. But it's the '90s. We didn't care.
yeah, but it's a good movie.
Oh no, for
It's
sure.
fun
Yeah,
and
and I mean even Jeff Daniels, his character, it's really he portrays it really well.
yeah, yeah, he does. So that was a lot of fun doing that. I watched some really cool stuff. Like I said, I watched The Handmaiden for the first time, which was like I said, it's the Korean Eyes Wide Shut. It's something
I
else.
know that's your favorite movie of all time.
Oh, that's one. It's my favorite Kubrick movie, that's for
Yeah.
sure. I also watched this super. I picked up Japan's Longest Day, which is kind of if you're looking for a World War II movie that's kind of we're looking at the other side, and this is the aftermath of the atomic bombs hitting Japan and what Japan was deciding to do. This is the guy who did Sword of Doom, the director for that, directed this film,
Uh-huh.
and the cast list on this. I mean, they must have had every mainstream Toho actor, uh, in this film. I mean, it's the credits for this are, I think, like almost like 10 minutes just on the actors.
Wow.
It's like that's how many people are involved in this
Right.
film. And it's like a 2.5 hour film, but man, it's dramatic as hell. It's so good. So I was really excited to get to finally watch that. But that was pretty much that. My time. We did some stuff for Cinemigos. We put out our episode on uh, what did we just put out? We did uh, Green Book just came out. That's our episode that's came out this week, and we did
Is that one with Viggo
what was
Mortensen
the
and
other movie? Yeah, yeah, Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala
yeah.
Ali. And we also did, what was the other, my memories? Like I've been working. Oh yeah, we did the Crow. Yeah, the Crow. We
Uh,
yes, it's the 30th anniversary of the Crow, so we put out that episode while we were on break too. So yeah, so just a kind of a busy but fun couple of weeks for me.
mhm. Cool. For me, just chilling, working. Uh, went on a family trip this last week. It was a nice
Hmm.
trip. It was just me and my cousins, like our generation. Uh, it
Yeah.
was I think it was our first trip as kind of like the adults essentially. But it was just like all of us, like
Oh
yeah. So it
wow.
was all
Okay.
just like me and my cousins, or at least most of them. And their kids, and we got an Airbnb up like kind of towards Sequoia, or just outside Sequoia, like an hour outside of Sequoia. Um, it was nice. I mean, it was friggin' hot. It was like triple digits the entire time we were there.
Oh
Thank God we
wow.
weren't trying to camp because it would have just been miserable. So yeah, thank God
Yeah.
for electricity and air conditioning.
Yeah.
What else? Uh, Other than that, yeah, just me volunteering. My volunteering. Yeah, I mean, luckily it kind of cooled down this past week, but yeah, and again, I'm suffering because I don't have any air conditioning right now. So I mean, I got a fan going, but it's just circulating the hot air, so it's, it's not ideal right now.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
ideal.
no, no.
Um,
Well, I'm sorry that you're suffering
yeah, I'm
in the
suffering from my
heat.
art, uh, but yeah, that's what I've been going through. Um, okay, this I don't. We can kind of get because it kind of flows into the topics of discussion anyway. But this just the other day, I kind of got into it with some of my coworkers, and I have a strict
Hmm.
rule. It's just don't engage. Kind of like with my rule for online, just don't engage because I know where they're coming from, and I know they're only gonna hit me with emotional arguments. Right? There's literally
Yeah.
no reasoning with them. But
Yeah.
for some reason I got pulled in, and I engaged with them, and yeah, it was a shit show.
Oh
Yeah,
boy. Yeah,
because
it's
it's
I
just like this one time we couldn't just say, oh man, Trump getting shot at was fucked up. It's like, yeah, right, it's fucked up. It's just like, oh, like he's like they probably planned it, or to that effect. I'm not saying that they actually said that, but just like it's like, oh, Trump is, even though it's, even they conceded that political violence is wrong, but it's like, oh, but Trump's a piece of shit. It's like, okay, and then like, I mean, not to esteem myself too much, but I'm someone who is about fairness, right? And so,
right.
because one of my coworkers, he was saying like, oh, Trump, Trump, he's the one that incited J6. It's like, all right, but let's take your logic. His words his words are what incited J6 to happen, January 6th. Then all right, then can it's like if Trump didn't say anything at all, and it still popped up, would it happen? They're like more or less, yeah, but it's like, okay, then if Trump's actions or inactions are what would have caused J6, then are Democrat politicians to blame for the violence that happened during the summer of 2020, the BLM stuff, because there was nary a Democratic politician that came out and spoke against the destruction that was taking place that summer. I mean, if I
In fact, some of them like celebrated it and helped
right,
bail
yeah. I
some of these
mean,
people
yeah.
out of
Kamala
jail.
Harris famously, her I don't know, some of her staffers. I think it was like more. I don't know if it was Kamala Harris directly, but some of her staffers I know for sure put into the bail fund for the demonstrators. Yeah,
Yeah,
but then of
yeah,
course, like it's just like, oh no, it's like no, you can't compare the two. It's like Trump, because Trump's a president. It's like, well, what's a mayor just of a president of a smaller area, But but it's
exactly.
always just
And you
emotional
also,
arguments, calling me a Nazi, and I mean, and that part
oh
is not
yeah,
hyperbole. Like one of the guys, he literally called me a Nazi,
damn, dude,
and I was
Jesus,
like,
yeah,
I know, yet you work with me. So it's like, so are you? Does that make you a
yeah,
Nazi sympathizer?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like,
The fucking
yeah, and it's
dumb
like the
man.
not like and one of my coworkers, he just wouldn't answer direct questions, and he wouldn't engage in hypotheticals. And so I was like, man, he's like, dude, you argue like a woman because you always do the straw man thing and start attacking something I didn't even say. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of it, I was like
uh,
so like exhausted, but I was like at night at the end of the night, I was like lying in bed, it's like, huh, okay, so now like I really know where they stand. This then this is how I'm gonna treat them going forward. The one that argues like a woman, I'm just gonna treat like a woman, and the one that does emotional arguments like a child, I'm just gonna treat like a child.
it's kind of the way you
Kind
had
of the
to
way I have to
handle it.
handle it. Yeah, I mean, typically, yeah, I don't normally engage in like because my buddy who owns a shop, he kind of gets into it a lot. Um, but me, I know better because I've dealt with like so many because of my experience with like certain homeless people and just like their inability to reconcile reality and like their thoughts. Like I know not
Mm.
to engage, or I know not to only engage at at a certain level, at a certain depth. But also this past weekend, something happened where like I haven't been able to resolve it, and so it kind of got me upset, and so like it gets kind of like, and then it's I was like so tired of hearing the stupid talk, like the stupid rhetoric and the narratives that it just it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, and I just I couldn't help myself, so I had to engage.
Yeah, I saw they. I had some people trying to like drag me into that fray too. It was like, because they were asking me like, "Oh, yeah, Trump was shot. Like, Do you think it was like staged? Do you think it was this?" I'm like, uh, no, and I'm not surprised that this happened. I just kind of left it at that. I utilized this, I used a similar tactic in that sense with you, that you do, or it's just like I'm not gonna get it. This is not the place for that
Yeah,
right
I
now.
mean,
Here, like it now. I mean, I'm gonna talk about it today for
right, yeah,
sure,
because
but
this
like
is the
it's
forum that we usually talk about this sort of stuff, and so
yeah,
yeah, I mean, yeah, usually my tactic is to mock it. So like if some like especially because yeah, like you know whenever someone like brings up politics, it's like, oh, it's all fake and gay anyways. And that usually gets a laugh, and just like kind of like diffuses the situation, like they know not to ask me. It's like, oh, it's all fake and gay.
yeah. I'm just yeah. Most of the time, like I don't talk about it most of the time, other than in certain forums,
Mm,
and it's not. I don't always want to talk about it either because I have other
right.
interests
Yeah,
that
and I
are not
mean,
that.
because yeah, and it's also 'cause you have to know who you're going up against. Like I know my opponents, like for the most part, or like if I'm talking to
Right.
someone new, I usually kind of feel them out, and I won't go into uh, like my true feelings about a certain topic. I'll offer resistance or pushback, sure, but I won't be like, no, you're wrong, and here's why, and da da da. It's just I mean, not that I do that anyways, but
Right.
but I know like a certain type of person who says certain things I know like I cannot have a good faith discussion with them. I mean,
There's a lot of
yeah,
people like
it's
that.
sad, but
They
it's
just,
true. But I wish it wasn't the case. I wish I could just go up to someone and have a good faith discussion and like, oh, he's like, and just offer a difference of opinion, and they'd be like, oh wow, I didn't consider about that. Thank you for your position. Because now it's just like you're a Nazi, and just like, okay,
well,
politics is fake and
you've won
gayness.
the argument at that. Yeah, you've won
I
the
know I
argument
won
at
when they
that
as
point.
soon as
Like
they
when
call me
they,
a name, I know I've won. But it's just like they're like so like adamant that I am in the wrong. Like I never take like I'm a right person. I'm just saying here's an alternative perspective. Take it for what it is. Take it what you will. You know. You
right.
can use my argument for toilet paper for all I care, but this is just my argument. To the contrary, or to a slight different angle to the position.
Yeah.
But yeah, people who use certain buzzwords and who spout certain talking points. I know, I will not have a good faith discussion with them.
And you know why people are like that is because that's what the media does. That's their tactic. And people who watch this shit end up saying the same exact talking points.
Yeah, it's so funny because like
And
they're so,
they don't
particularly like one of my coworkers. He's like so certain that he's correct and that Republicans are evil and they just want to take away women's rights and enslave them and they want to kill all the black people and it's just like and whenever we ask for like some sort of backing to his claim, you know he does a Cenk Uyghur. It's like Google it.
yeah,
And it's like, well, why don't you just offer me something like right? And he says like, there's so many of it. It's just so obvious. It's like if it's so obvious, then you should be able to at least like cite one thing, right? But they never do. They never do.
yeah. Google it because
Yeah, because I
I
can't
couldn't
be
even be
bothered
bothered
to.
to
I
do
can't
it.
be bothered to back up the claim that I made. And here's another thing for all you people out there. If you ever get into one of these debates or in these discussions, all right, just know that it's never incumbent on you to refute the other person's claim. All right, it's incumbent on the person who made the claim to prove it. You cannot prove a
Exactly.
negative. If someone says that what is it like? If someone says this pen is blue, then the person who says that it's blue is incumbent. Is the onus is on them to prove that the pen is blue, not someone the other person who says like, oh, maybe it might be green. You know.
Yeah.
So whoever makes the claim has to back it up, has to prove it. All right. So if you ever get,
This pen is
yeah,
blue, and here are 5 reasons why this pen is blue. And then you go through those
exactly. But
reasons.
if they don't,
Now you still may end up being wrong, but at least you have gone through. You have tried to back up your claim with
right?
something.
It could be anything.
Whereas, like, you can't.
You could
Yeah,
like, yeah, you could literally
it's
say, oh, because because this thing was made in Japan. It's like, okay, that's something that we could then take and like look up ourselves and say like, no, that's actually wrong, or it's right. Either way.
yeah.
So like the person making the claim is the one who's supposed to back it up. All right, it's not your
But
job to prove that person wrong. And it's okay, yeah. Don't ever, yeah, and again, don't ever fall in the trap of you having to define the other person's position.
but yeah, legacy media has gone to the point where it's essentially yellow journalism
Mm-hmm.
tactics. No one's actually doing any sort of modicum of uh checking sources. They just throw shit up on a wall and it's like they'll make shit
Yeah.
up. And then you'll see how every it doesn't matter if it's CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they all start saying the same fucking thing. And or they'll these celebrity journalists, quote unquote, they will to have the same comment on their like social media stuff as well. They just there's no integrity at
Yeah.
all.
I mean,
No one
well,
has an original thought.
yeah, or they, or they try to spin it and make it about themselves. Like, after, well, like we'll move into the Trump stuff soon, but yeah, after the assassination, former White House secretary, poor man's peppermint patty, Jen Psaki, after someone took a shot at Trump, she immediately made it about like so-called journalists and said like, oh, I'm so afraid for journalists now because Trump is going to use this and try to use it against journalists. So I really fear for the safety of journalists. It's like, bitch, who got shot at? Was it fucking Jake Tapper that got shot at? No. For what he said, no. It was for Trump. Trump was the one that got shot at, not a fucking journalist.
Yeah. It, it's I love how they like always make it about
Right?
them.
It's like, but what about me?
I need more views and slaps on the back.
It's like, right, my ass wasn't thoroughly kissed enough. Jeez.
Dude, and I also love just the idea like these politicians that become journalists who end up going back into politics and it
Yeah,
uh,
it's also sick.
like George Stephanopoulos like should never be considered a legitimate
Right. I mean, for
journalist.
those of you,
Jen Psaki should not
yeah,
be.
for those of you young people, yeah, George Snuffleupagus, he used to be Bill Clinton's press secretary. He was the
Yeah,
Jen Psaki of his time.
yes, he was. It's like, and people like buy into his shit. And it was funny though, like his even after the whole after the debate that happened a couple of weeks ago between Biden and Trump, who, to be honest, Trump did a great job.
Well,
It
yeah, it's
wasn't
funny.
the craziness of the 2020 debates that were going on. He was very reserved and let
It's
him hang
No, it's
himself.
actually funny because all of the measures that they put in place to help to seemingly stifle uh, uh, Donald Trump, it actually helped him because I mean, as funny as I think, as I always said, Trump's my favorite comedian. And as much as I enjoy like his storytelling, he's very nonlinear in his speaking. Like he'll talk and then he'll kind of
Right.
double back and then he'll start like a new idea right in the middle of what he's talking about. So he actually hit like the 2 minute delay, the ability to shut off mics, that and then like them like trying to give Biden as much. Dude, they gave Biden extra rebuttal. It's usually statement, rebuttal, and then that's it. It's like statement, rebuttal,
Yeah.
and then counter rebuttal for Joe Biden. It's like what the fuck? But it ended up going against him,
Oh, dude, and like the fallout from that, like he
dude.
looked
Yeah,
horrible, and he was horrible. And it's funny because even when George Stephanopoulos can't save your ass, like because he is the warm blanket for any Democratic
right.
politician, even he was kind of just fed up with Biden, like because he had an interview with him
Yeah, just a couple of days
a
after.
few
Yeah,
days afterwards, and he was pretty well for George Stephanopoulos scathing,
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
Biden.
Right.
I was like, God damn, dude. Like
You guys
that's
are
it's
yeah,
over for
you guys are on
him.
the same side, right? Right. Ooh.
But yeah, they had this is what the tactics have been. They haven't gotten him on any of the uh they've tried to put this man in jail. That's failed. And even like the Supreme Court has backed up like, hey, like no, this is you can't do
Right.
this. That he worked within his purview
Executive. Yeah.
as a president. So you can't get him for that. I think um the document stuff, like that was pretty much
Oh yeah, and of
they
course,
finally
they're
cut
they're
out.
they're pissed off because it was one of his judges that he appointed, but it's just like she was selected at random. That's how they do things, right? They select judges at random to prevent uh, bias or partiality. It just so happened,
Yeah,
but anyone with half a brain, just like, yes, the president's allowed to take documents home. I mean, otherwise, you should be going after Obama. You should be going after Bush. You should be going after Clinton. You should be going after every former
every
executive that held on to documents, you know, or held or classified documents, or still have them. Again,
exactly.
that's
And
that's my fundamental fairness coming through. It's like, okay, fine, you want to go after Trump for that, then you have to go after all the ex executives. All right, that's all I'm asking for.
yeah, that's failed. The debate, like, oh, they're gonna, everything they did to help Biden through that thing made it
Yeah,
worse. And now, like, the Democrats, I think they've given up on Biden. Although you have the sycophants who are like, no, he's the most, he's as sharp as he's ever been. It's like, wow, like I don't know who's paying you, but damn, dude, like you were lying your ass
yeah, it's
off.
funny because during our my discussion with my coworkers, it's just like, he made the claim. What he made the claim, it's like, yeah, like the economy is better under Biden. I'm like, it's like, yeah, exactly.
How?
Like, by what metric? Like, what policies that he enacted is actually making things better? And you know what he said. We all know what he said.
You're a Nazi.
He said, "Google it.
Google
Google
it.
it."
Oh my
And it's just like
God.
it's so, yeah, it's just like it's so obvious. Just Google it. I was like, no, why don't you just tell me? Like, if it's so blatant and apparent that his policies are working, name one policy that has helped the economy. Like, if it's like a hand in front of my face, that obvious, then you should be able to tell me.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah,
never
it's like
do. They
the
never do.
of course not. And because they don't have an answer, so it's like Google it is I don't fucking
Exactly.
know.
That's
But
exactly
but I
it.
know it's true.
You're right. That's exactly what it is. Like, I don't fucking know. Google it is the I don't fucking know.
Because Chink says it like he's a pseudo
Right?
intellectual, like he's so, but like everyone he kind of, oh well, he's a swashbuckling independent journalist, like, yeah, and he's smart, like if he says it, that might, I'm gonna say it too. It's like, no, now you're like a
He can't
pseudo
be that smart.
intellectual,
He
you're not.
named his news organization after a fucking genocidal, political group.
Well, that was done on
Well,
purpose,
yeah,
like
duh. But it's like, yeah, but again, he's not that smart because he named it after a fucking genocidal political group.
and like it's funny because wasn't like Anna Kasparian,
Yeah,
isn't
she's
she like Armenian
Armenian.
or something
He's
like that?
working for this fuck.
She's like one of the main people there. It's like you went to an organization named after a group of people who murdered your
Right?
people. Like, what the fuck?
Gosh. I mean, credit where credit's due. Like, Anna Kasparian, she's kind of, is it Anna? Yeah, Anna Kasparian. She's kind of waking up, and good for her.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
noticed that
good for
lately. It's
her.
like, yeah,
Yeah, credit where credit's due.
yeah. It's she's not a complete dumbass
Right?
anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, what is it? What's that old saying? She got mugged by reality.
yeah,
Like,
I think it got to be too much for
mhm.
her, and she's like, oh, okay, I can't
Right,
ignore
exactly. Just
like
like
what I'm
the
seeing
blatant
anymore.
like uh, bedlam that is, California and Los Angeles specifically, where you and I and her and she live. It's again, it's like a hand in your face. You can't ignore it anymore.
It's bad out here. It's real bad.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, like there's like two kids died of a fentanyl overdose just like a few miles from where I live.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah,
But yeah, and now they because they couldn't jail him. They can't beat him in an fair election. I mean, like he's making Biden look terrible, and he's not even having to do that much. He's just
Yeah, what is it? Yeah,
And
that old
now,
axiom: if your enemy's making a mistake, don't stop him.
yeah, and now they have tried to
Mm-hmm.
kill the man. And it's like now there's we'll talk about it because there's a lot of weird theories out there, but um,
Ooh.
you know, seemingly what it is that this is a man who was driven crazy by the mainstream media and
Right, the
politicians
rhetoric.
and the rhetoric,
Mm-hmm.
and and when you tell people and who are already maybe not all the
Yeah,
way there. They're a
whose
little
intellect
bit,
is like room
nuts.
temperature.
Yeah, and then you say like, "Oh, this person is going to ruin this country. He's going to destroy democracy. It's going to become a dictatorship. He's the little literal reincarnation of Hitler."
He's Hitler Satan.
And when you constantly push, yeah, when you constantly push that narrative and you already have these people who are fucking nuts or like on the verge of being nuts and you push them over that edge, this is what takes place.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And
It's like
you were mentioning like, okay, if Trump is supposedly uh you know uh responsible for January 6th, then what is are the Democratic politicians and the mainstream media uh are they responsible for what happened here? I think so. If we're gonna
right.
make
Yeah,
that, we're gonna make those
that
connections.
culpability. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the constant rhetoric
Yeah,
of Trump's like, oh, he's the new Hitler Satan. Oh, it's existential threat. It's like he's trying to put women. He's trying to get women. Put women back in the kitchen barefoot and chained to the oven. It's like Trump
yeah,
is an existential threat. And when you keep saying that over and over again, someone is gonna really take that to heart, and they're gonna want to do something about it. It's like, let's say it's like a woman who's he's constantly a woman who constantly tells a man, I want to have sex with you, I want to have sex with you, I want to have sex with you, I really want to have sex with you, I want to have sex with you. And then when he tries to kind of go in for it, and then she goes, whoa, 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 what are you doing? And it's just like, and then he's like, well, you told me you want to have sex with me. It's like, that's not what I meant. Like, how
yeah,
how else are we supposed to understand the words that are coming out of your mouth? When you say
yeah.
thing like in the my hypothetical, it's like, I want to have sex with you, and you keep saying, I want to have sex with you, I want to have sex with you. And then when someone finally takes you up on that, but then you go like, oh, it's like, how could you gotten the wrong idea? Like, how could you have gotten that idea by the words that I was saying?
And yeah, and then literally on uh I mean it took a while, but then you have Biden and all these people like, well, violence is just never okay. Like this is such a horrible thing. But it's like you have your rhetoric has been exactly that. You said like, yeah, you have been wanting to take this man out, and now like all of a sudden like that someone acted on your statements like, oh well, this is the worst
Right.
thing
Yeah.
ever. Oh, it's like,
Yeah. It's just
shut
like
up. And they
it's just
all
like
and
just
you
before.
also
Hold
notice
on.
how it
It's just like just before. Kind of like back to my analogy. It's just like just before the attempt happened, Biden said like, "Oh, we have to put Trump in the crosshairs," and it's just like,
yeah.
and then it's just like, how is someone supposed to take that really? It's like you could, and then he came out and said like, "Oh, wait, I just meant that we had to like focus on him more." It's like, that's all you guys been doing, all right? You and the mainstream media, all you've been doing is putting your focus on Trump.
It's
So again,
that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah, it's
it's
like, how could you, it's just like, again, like to my analogy, it's like Biden's like, how could you have gotten that idea from the words that I said? It's like, are you freaking kidding me?
in all the responses on social media, like they're like carbon copies of the same tweet or message that goes out. It's like,
It's like, oh, I hope they don't miss.
is it like Is it two people that are writing the same social media post for all these
Well, I
people?
mean, I think it's kind of like the I forgot who came up with the idea, but it's the download. So so you know, once the new thing comes along, everyone is supposed to, it's just like the whole like what was it? Ukraine thing. It's like Ukraine, 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 and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Palestine, Palestine, Palestine. Yeah, it's essentially that the download. The update came in, and then they're now all about. It's like, oh, it's like I hope the next time they don't miss. Yeah, I mean,
Ah,
there's been some
Jesus.
garbage takes. Like, I mean, a lot of people may not be aware of him. I am, because we're kind of in the space or kind of adjacent to it. But the streamer Destiny, he's a fucking Canadian. And he's like talking all the. Why is it always the fucking Canadians that have these garbage takes? Like, stay out of our. We don't get in your stupid politics. Stay the fuck out of ours.
I mean, I make fun of their prime
I know,
minister
yeah.
a lot,
It's
but
like, yeah,
that's
Prime Minister Blackface, Prime Minister Son of Fidel,
Prime
yeah,
Minister
Prime Minister
Kendall.
Kendall, Prime Minister ski instructor, drama teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like yeah, he had
He's
some yeah, but
horrible.
it was
But
again
yeah,
like
it's like
yeah,
yeah, you're right.
he had a garbage take. He said basically the same thing everyone else says. I hope the guy, the next guy doesn't miss.
Yeah, and it's like that's
Yeah, and it's just like
well, isn't that like what happened with like Tenacious D
right,
as well? Like they had like during one of their concerts, they said the same thing. It was like, and yes, do I like Jack Black? Like I think he's a very talented guy. He's funny. I like his movies, but yeah, it's like he's gone fucking crazy too.
but
It-
I mean, I will say technically it was his friend and longtime collaborator Kyle Glass, but
yeah,
Jack Black is a piece of shit because he didn't stand by his friend. Because after that happened,
that's
after they got dumped by all of their venues for their shows, he threw his friend under the bus and didn't have his back. And
yeah, that's what I was like,
yeah, and
dude,
yeah,
that's
the
not
Kyle
cool.
Glass's representation dropped him. I think the record company that Tenacious D uh, was under, like I believe, like they had him, like yeah, they had Kyle Glass fired from the group. Yeah,
Damn, dude. Yeah, it's and now yeah, I mean that's consequences for saying something really fucking stupid.
but I mean, it's really sad because,
Say
well, just from my point of view, because Jack Black in like I think it was either Instagram thing or Twitter, but he was like talking about like how Kyle's his longtime friend and collaborator, but he's just like he basically threw him under the bus. It's like, as soon as like the potential for his money stream to be interrupted, it's like threw him out the bus, which is
yeah,
pretty fucked
and it's
up.
like so you're gonna end a very successful collaboration and a friendship because he said something in you know think he was trying to be he was kind of playing to the
Right.
crowd.
Right, because in that
And
yeah, because
it
in that clip,
is it stupid to
yeah, in
say,
that
but
clip, the audience did laugh. It's like, okay, ha ha ha. And even in Jack Black's like kind of like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way kind of apology. He said, he even said like, oh yeah, like, I was so taken aback, but by what he said, I didn't know how to respond. It's like, fuck you, dude. You fucking were
no,
chuckling too.
because the thing, yeah, he thought it was funny, and he probably feels the
Hmm.
same way. But yeah, it's that was that was I when I saw that I was like, dude, you fucking threw your friend under the bus like that? Damn, dude.
Yeah, dude, I shared air with that guy.
I know, like I said, I think personally the guy is not. I don't think he's a bad person for the most part, but like I said, I think politics has driven these people who are already a little bit like maybe a little bit on the edge. It's driven them
Yeah,
nuts,
it's just
and
everything
so
is political.
they do
Everything is
dumb shit
political.
like
So
this.
Yeah, just everything has become politics. So it's just like, it's like, I really like I really like the color red. It's like, oh yeah, like because you're a Republican. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, the I knew like something like it was weird because when he I think was it the DNC or something like that where they brought on like we were talking about this before our break, but like the cavalcade of like you know of washed up stars to talk about like celebrate Joe Biden, and Jack Black did his little circus monkey show. Like for that, I was like, oh my
Oh
god,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
he looks like a in with his America's
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
overalls. I was
right.
like, this guy is
That's right.
what the fuck.
And he's like, dance clown.
From then on, I was like, yeah, it's sad. It's just really sad. But where do you where should we start? Do you want to like
I
uh
think we talked a lot about a lot of stuff already. I mean, we talked more about the
I know
consequences first, so let's really kind of focus in on the attempt.
yeah I had to say the security is
Dog
horrible.
shit.
What?
Right, dog shit. All right, the head of the director of the Secret Service. She's a woman, and what is it? Her background is
Her main focus is
no, yeah, but
DEI.
her background is fucking head of security for like Frito Lay's or something. And yeah,
What?
she was like the head of security for Frito, like for like a
What?
chip, yeah, for the chip manufacturer like Frito Lay's or something, or Pepsi, I forget which. They're usually linked. But yeah, but like yeah, when you see that video and you see the women Secret Service agents, like he's taller than them. All right, like if a like let's say that there were no men and it was all women, and like they try to form a human, they try
He's
to
dead.
form a human shield around a human meat shield around him, dude. That sniper is going for the dome, 100%. And there would be no one to obstruct. There would
Yeah,
be no one to obstruct the bullet,
it literally looked like that one Secret Service agent was hugging onto him for
right?
safety.
or
Save me,
yeah,
Mr.
right.
President.
Or that one picture where it's taken from the side, one of the wings of the stage, and you see what is it? You see Trump here next to the podium, and he's being surrounded by like all the male Secret Service, and you see like that one lone female Secret Service here behind them, like kind of but cowering down, and it's just like, oh my gosh. At the bare minimum, you should
It's
have at least, at the bare minimum, 6 feet tall Secret Service agent. Because I know Trump is huge. He's like 6'5" or 6'7". Yeah, he's a
he's a
tall
tall
dude. So
dude,
at
yeah.
because what is it? Jim Comey, who he himself is like a six pluser, right? When standing next to
Yeah.
Trump, looks short.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know. That's
dude, fucking Barron. But
the
Barron's like 17, 18 years old, and he's taller than me.
I know.
He's a
He's a
tall
tall
kid.
kid, man.
But yeah,
The
so minimum requirement for a
what's
Secret Service agent, doing close proximity protection for Trump has to be minimum 6 feet.
yeah, maybe don't have a very tiny female on security detail. I mean, the Secret Service does more than just security. I mean, that's what we tend
Right, we
to see them
associate.
as, but they're
Right, right,
Treasury
right.
agents.
They go
Yeah,
after
they
fraud more than anything.
yeah, and actually there was something I was listening to like um some podcasting friends like one of the guys on there, his dad was a Secret Service agent, kind of talked about what went into how that works. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, it's they do a lot more than just like security detail and stuff for political
Right.
candidates.
I know it's just more. I know that's
But yeah, it's
more of
like
like
put her on that.
yeah. There's more. Yeah, the Secret Service like the security detail is more of like the public face, but yeah, they're treasury agents, and they they tackle more about like, they handle more like counterfeit cases. So like if
Yeah.
you're printing twenties somewhere and trying to launder that shit, they'll be looking into you.
Oh yeah. But it just the security was pretty awful. Why that there were why are there not people knowing that there's these lines of sight in where the podium's going to be. Literally, no one's up on those roofs. No
Well, I
one's
mean
just thinking
one,
like, "Hey,
but
maybe we'll just make."
there's like that one counter sniper team up there, but it's like
Yeah, like because they were like just above that, and it looked like they did have a beat on the
right.
guy. Like what?
But it's like it's also like how do they not own that entire area? You know, um,
That's what I'm talking about. That's what you need to do.
yeah, you have to own that entire area, airspace included. All right, because all these people, because I think there was some comment, from the mainstream media and stuff talking about like, oh, like how uh, it's like yeah, Trump supporter was just allowed to walk in proximity of the president with a gun. How but it's just like yeah, exactly. Security failure. You're trying to cast his supporters at like these gun-toting, trigger-happy nut jobs, but it's like it's a breakdown in security. Um, really, another podcaster who used to work for Department of Homeland Defense. He mentioned that the Secret Service is chronically underfunded and understaffed. Um, because because one their mandate is to go after counterfeiters, but also just like because of the uh, protection details offered to presidential families and their relatives, manpower is they're overdrawn essentially.
Limited.
Yeah, they're overdrawn
Yeah.
because that protection doesn't uh, go away. It's like look at JFK. After even though JFK died, his his widow, Jackie Kennedy, yeah,
Jackie
she had a
had it. Yeah.
Secret Service security detail. You know, and I think
Yep.
his daughter Caroline and well when he was alive, John Jr. I think he had one too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just
Yeah, and I mean it's like yeah,
really wild stuff.
I mean no one wants to be a babysitter. Some people,
No.
I'm sure these, Secret Service agents, joined up to, go and hunt, go get bad guys and, and protect the president. But then, they're forced, but then they get assigned to go, be the, dog walker for, what's his face, like, Carter's, Jimmy Carter's, you know, third cousin or whatever.
Billy Cart. It's
Oh
his
yeah,
brother Billy.
Billy Beer.
Yeah, it's not a great job. It's tough, and but yeah, it just but especially when uh at this time for like both the actual sitting president and someone who is running for president, it's the fact that the security is not locked down is uh to that degree, and knowing with all the rhetoric and fire behind what's going on nowadays. Yeah, this is and it really was a matter of inches that he ended up surviving. It's
Yeah, yeah, just
it was just
a slight
because
turn of his head.
Yeah,
Mhm.
saved his life.
Have you seen the prophecy guy? Yeah, there's
No.
a video that surfaced, and it was of a guy like from 3 months ago. And he talked about how there was he had a dream, and that in the dream like a bullet whizzed past uh, Trump's ear, and then like after that like Trump fell down to his knees and began to worship Jesus, and then he saw that Trump won the election and became president. And this is 3 months ago that this
Yeah.
that the video was made. So it can't be just like oh that like it's not someone who came out a couple days ago and was talking about oh yeah like I totally had this dream 3 months ago and there was a Trump there was a bullet and it whizzed past him and no like he the video was uh, the upload date was marked or the publishing date was 3 months ago. So this is
Oh
way
wow. Okay.
before, and it's just like oh what it's just a coincidence. Like all right, that's yeah fine. It could be just a coincidence, but it's about the specifics because he said like a bullet whizzed past his head and Trump fell down to the ground. And it's like it's those little specifics. It's like someone saying like oh the tomorrow the sun's gonna go down, but just before the sun goes down, a pig is gonna fly by. It's like the sun going down isn't the miraculous part. It's the pig that flies by before the sun goes down. That's the detail that you're looking for.
Yeah,
So like yeah, as Rob was saying, like
exactly.
it was
And
only
wow,
it was
that's
only a
it.
matter of time that someone took a shot at him because of the rhetoric from the mainstream media and the Democratic politicians. But it's the specificity of the details of that. It's like, a bullet whizzed past his head. And what do we see? A bullet whizzing past his head. I mean, yeah, it hit his ear, but it went past his head.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. So like
wild, wild
whether
stuff,
the other
man.
part of that prophecy comes true, and if it is a prophecy, we'll see. We'll see what happens, right? And we'll only know that it's
Yeah,
from
we'll
and we'll
definitely.
only know if it's from God, once that other half of that prophecy comes true.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till
November, yeah.
see how that plays out. But
Although, I mean, I
I
think
just
I think I think because I sent it to you during via text, but pretty much after this incident, Trump won the election.
oh yeah, like this. There's no. They know that too. Like they're like fuck. And it was funny. Some of the stuff that was being posted is, where people are like, so yeah, like you see that they shot at Trump and oh did he like cower in a ball afterwards? Like no, he actually got up and like threw his fist in the air. He actually looked pretty
Right?
fucking cool. Oh
Yeah.
shit, I think he's gonna win this thing. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I know that,
It's like,
dude.
and these are not
Right.
conservatives in any
Right, dude. That's shot
shape or being, but it
looking up
was
at Trump with his fist in the air defiantly, and like the blood like strewn across his face, and the American flag in the background. Dude, that no,
that's
I know,
instinct.
but just that shot alone, that's no matter how you feel about Trump or what your politics are, that is an iconic shot that'll live in the annals of our history of American history.
Yeah, I mean, that's some Teddy
Right?
Roosevelt shit right there.
That's Andrew Jackson. Like Andrew Jackson, I think he was one of like the last presidents to fight in a duel.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and I think I yeah, and I
That guy,
think
Andrew Jackson
yeah, and I
is.
think he John Wicked it, and he took a few before he put down his opponent.
Yep, he did.
Yeah, that's fucking
Yeah, the guy
badass.
had like bullets in him, and he was like tortured during like the. I think it was it the Revolutionary War? Like that's why he hated the British so much, and like it was. He's a
Dude,
crazy. That guy
that
is
guy's a fucking
crazy.
badass. All right, he's like
He did some shitty
yeah,
stuff, but
shitty stuff, but
that guy was a
yeah,
savage.
but he was also the only executive to have balanced the budget. and not incur and pay off and paid off the debt, the national debt. The only president.
You know, it's maybe we'll get. I really hope we get back to that at some point. It's just we
It's just
have
gonna
to
be
get rid of.
really hard because of the Federal Reserve and how like kind of like a tumor with its tendrils like going into other parts of the body. It's kind of like that, and so
Yeah,
yeah, you can cut out the initial mass, but the tendrils are still there. Um,
right.
so I mean, if you could just cleanly yank out all the influence of the Federal Reserve and just take out the national bank and leave it to it, it'll destabilize the country. If that were to happen, like yeah, that would be the end of the country. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, that would be the end of the country because
Yeah,
of so much of the artificial like uh, wealth and inflation that the Federal Reserve has created. There's no way unless like we slowly wean ourselves off of like the fiat currency and we start, you know, um, going back to more tangible things like gold and silver or other precious metals, um, and like and I think also bringing back manufacturing could also help.
I think it's something that has to be like a slow, systematic um,
Right.
set of
Yeah.
plans, and then
Exactly. You can't just say like, yeah,
I mean that's
it's not just I want to get rid of the Federal Reserve. It's like, all right, but what are you going to do to replace it? Because nature abhors a vacuum, and if you get rid of the Federal Reserve, that's pretty much
it brings back
yeah, or
something worse.
that's collapse because the Federal Reserve is so
Yeah,
entwined in the infrastructure of the country, and I'm talking physically, literally and metaphorically.
yeah, you're
So
right.
like I mean
Yeah, I
I'm all
think, like I
for
said, it
getting rid of the Federal Reserve, but we have to have a backup plan. We have to have something to replace it.
right. And but yeah, I think just like a slow, systematic approach, um, and cutting out like a lot of just the unnecessary spending, kind of like the stuff that Rand Paul talks
Mm-hmm.
about. Like, why are we doing this? Honestly, giving, I think, all foreign aid packages, that just needs to cease for a while. Like, you guys are on your own. Sorry.
It's like the I mean I'm not one to talk, but it's like the 30-year-old still living with with his parents. Like I think it's time to find your own place. Yeah.
Where it's like they have like no, especially like if they're there, but like they have no plan or anything. Like it's yeah, it's like let's I think Ukraine, I think you're on your own. Like it's just funny that all the with Ukraine, they had the whole the Russia scandal, the Ukrainian stuff that they tried to impeach
Right.
Trump on. Yet it is Joe Biden who um has that Ukrainian ties to him, especially with the whole Burisma shit, and
Right.
uh, he was the one that got like the prosecutor fired over
Yeah, like
there,
looking into his
and
son and the
he's
company that he's working for. Yeah, I mean, hell,
yeah, and
even
that's
yeah,
kind of why.
but Biden has more of a connection to Russia, anyways, through his son. Because what is it, the either the, the current mayor of Moscow, or the former mayor of Moscow's wife, like gave him like $3 million. So
Yeah,
I mean, that's
why?
more of a Russian connection than Donald Trump and like him trying to build up a Trump property in Russia.
Yeah, and that's where it's like Zelensky's in power kind of partly because of Biden.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think, like I think there was some. Yeah, it's Zelensky, the man who played a piano
Right.
with his penis.
the man that Biden
and him
confused with
just
Putin. You see that? It's like, oh yeah,
Jesus,
the president,
God,
president
and
of Ukraine, President Putin. Like, did you see Zelensky's face? Like so confused.
yeah, it's like, oh my God. I mean,
I was
and
like, if I didn't
Zelensky is
need your
going around
money, man,
flating
yeah,
every
in as much
country.
that's like, if I didn't need
Yeah,
your money,
yeah, he's flating every country around the world. Like, I really don't think that any of that fucking shit is going to
of
the
course not.
Ukrainians. I think it's all going into
Well, I
Zelensky's
mean, I don't know
pocket.
because there was that report that they were saying that what is it? The nightlife in Kiev was bigger and was going bigger than ever. That more bars and nightclubs opened in the last 2 years than there actually like is people. Yeah, it was like
Jesus.
I think it's like a
So it's
60-minute report. But yeah, like since the war broke out, more nightclubs and bars have opened up in I think in the Ukrainian capital of Kiev or whatever the fuck than previous to the war. More nightclubs, more clubs,
that's that. Yeah, that sounds a little
right?
suspicious.
A wee bit suspicious, eh?
Just a wee bit, just a wee bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Uh, I think the other thing too, we just because I don't want to forget about this person too. Obviously, the focus is on Trump, but there was someone that was
Right.
killed in the
Yeah.
crowd.
Of course.
The from this uh piece of shit. He was killed too,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like they
shot him.
shot him in the head.
They took him out. So no questions. You know, it's like, all right, boys, another job well done. Wrap it up.
They
They
Jack
Jack
Ruby'd
Ruby'd
his
his ass.
ass. uh, but yeah, no, it's unfortunate because a family has lost their father, their husband, um, and that creates a vacuum too, and that's going to be a day that they'll never forget.
Hmm.
It's just really
Yeah, I
really
mean, I
sad to
don't
see
know if
that
Trump has
I
come
because
out, but yeah, he should put some of his campaign money towards that family,
oh
and also the ones
I
who
have
are
a
just
feeling he'll do something
wounded,
like that.
of course.
Yeah,
But I don't, yeah, again, I don't because Trump is usually good about that thing. But maybe he didn't do it. Yeah,
I'm
maybe he
sure
didn't do
he
it publicly.
I'm
Yeah,
sure he has a plan.
or maybe
Yeah.
I mean, not to he'll exploit them. Some other way. Down the road for the campaign.
Yeah, but I hope that he's done something, even if it's just behind closed
Yeah,
doors. Just let
yeah. He does the. Wait, who's that race driver that you like? Dale Earnhardt. Maybe he'll Dale Earnhardt them.
yeah, yeah. And it's like it's just like I'm gonna do something nice, but not for all the publicity. It's I that's well, actually it's funny. I'm wearing an Earnhardt
Oh.
shirt today, um, so it's
How fortuitous.
uh, yeah, but yeah. I just It's this is wild, man. I had a whole different lineup for us today for stuff to talk about, and as soon as I saw at first it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
This
I don't.
happened, and then I was like, oh shit, no, this really did happen. And I was like, well, Andy, I know exactly what we're gonna be talking about because I threw all my other stuff out. It's like, well, don't need that
Yeah, I
today.
kind of had the same sort of stages. Kind of like the stages of grief. It's like no way. It's like really what? No. And then I saw the
Yeah,
images. Like holy
it's
shit! I guess it did happen. Although yes,
well, I'm trying to think of what was the last time an assassination attempt on a presidential candidate took place? Because I know Reagan
yeah.
was shot, but he was president at
Uh-huh.
that time. I the only one I can think of it's like was it Robert Kennedy? Was that the last like guy running for president that was
What
shot?
about that? What about that southern politician? He got shot while campaigning. George something, George
running for
Wallace. No,
president. Like I said, I could be wrong.
well, I mean,
I couldn't think
politician,
of another. I I know there's more like politicians, but I'm just saying like a guy running
right,
for
for office. Oh, for president
president.
specifically.
Yeah,
No, because I think I think George Wallace, he was running for the Senate. Let me look at this up real fast.
yeah. It's because I was thinking like, oh man, and I know that was a when they shot Robert Kennedy. That I know that was a big shock, but then Reagan was shot by like a lunatic. Uh, I mean, and there's always like threats and stuff like that, but as far as like actual like attempts, yeah, it's I don't think we've seen or heard about one of those in a while. As far as on a president or a presidential candidate.
Oh yeah, I think it might have been George Wallace. It was yeah, and he was
Okay,
running for president. Yeah, he
he
was
was
running for
running for
president.
president.
And it was an attempt. He
Yeah.
survived, and
Okay.
he later passed away in 1998. But yeah, it
Okay.
was 1972.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So that would be after Bobby Kennedy.
Exactamundo.
All right. Well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure we're gonna find out more about about this story. I'm sure there's gonna be stuff that comes out. Maybe if there's anything of real um, crazy consequence, we'll talk about it again as things develop. Oh, the Rust trial starts for Alec Baldwin. I think that's
Ooh,
underway.
I thought he was acquitted. Yeah,
Was he
yeah, I think
acquitted?
yeah, he was.
I didn't hear. I just knew that I knew the trial was underway. I didn't know if he
No,
ended up
it ended up being
what ended up
acquitted,
happening
and
there.
it was with prejudice, so he can never be charged with the same things again. If anything, it'll be in the only way they can OJ his ass and go after him civilly.
Oh, you know
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
gonna happen. Yeah, it won't be a criminal trial, but it'll
yeah,
be
yeah,
a civil
exactly.
trial most likely because he's gonna get
Yeah,
sued.
because I think the prosecution like fumbled some of the evidence.
No, that doesn't fucking
Yeah, and
surprise
so
me.
yeah, they improperly admitted evidence, and so yeah, the judge dismissed the it's a dismissal. It's a dismissal, not acquitted, a dismissal. So
Okay.
dismissed the
Yeah.
trial. They dismissed the trial or with prejudice. So he can never be charged for that again, like criminal.
Yeah. But so my thinking probably will, if that's the case, what will probably end up happening, he will get sued. There's going to be a private settlement of
Right,
some sort, I think, and then that's
right. Him
that.
and his fake Spanish wife.
That
I
always makes
know,
me laugh.
because she faked being Spanish. It's so ridiculous. Like, especially it's like these
Oh
people who
man.
try to like I understand it, if it was like 30 years ago and you pulled this shit off, there wasn't an internet back then, but in today's day and age, uh, it wasn't even that long ago. It was like in the early 2010s or the 20 teens. It's
Yeah.
like the internet was a well established thing, social media existed, and people from our past could easily come forward like that bitch is a liar.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like speaking of that too, because you know how when Marlon Brando won the Oscar for The Godfather, and instead of going to the Oscars, he had some Native American lady come and accept his award. Uh, and there was a whole bunch of lies about how like John Wayne like was treated her like shit
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And the reality is she was not Native American. That came out. Her family members came. Was like, yeah, she's not Native American
Right.
at all. Like, we're not
Yeah, she
Native
fucking
American,
tried to
and
Stone
the whole thing
Valor
that,
like Elizabeth Warren.
yeah, and they, the stuff that they said about John Wayne, that never happened
Mm-hmm.
either.
Yeah, all lies. Fuck them haters.
Yeah, that came out like a year or two ago. I was like, you it's fucking people, man. And like that lady made her entire like she made a whole career out of that, essentially.
Yeah, it's just like that fucking E. Jean Carroll bitch. She's made her. Like no one knew
Oh
who
my
she
God.
was. Like, acclaimed writer E. Jean Carroll. No one knew who you were, bitch.
No one. I mean, if I saw her in the street, it's like, oh, that lady looks a little
Yeah,
fucking
like
weird
it's like
because she
it's like a
is.
reanimated
She's a
skeleton.
weirdo. Oh yeah. You know what she looks like? She looks like the female version of like in Men in Black, Frank, like the
Oh, the
guy that's
owner. Yeah,
standing
his
next to
Frank's
Frank that
owner.
has all like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's E. Jean Carroll.
There you go. Yeah, she had a cameo. You didn't know about this? Yeah, she had a cameo. Men in Black.
Yeah. Notice how you never see her and that guy
I
in the
know,
same
right?
room, just like with Andy Dick and what's her face,
Yeah.
Kathy Griffin.
Oh, that's right. Conspiracy theories. Oh man.
It always makes that joke always
Yeah.
makes me laugh because I believe Andy Dick and Kathy Griffin are the same
They
person.
easily could be. They easily could be.
They're both fucking
Mm-hmm.
insane. That's
Right?
that's
They
for sure. And they're Z-list celebrities.
I know.
All right, well, let's talk some local stuff.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk about the upcoming the
Yeah.
now
It
did it pass or is it like going to
yeah, it was
become
passed.
law now or like where are we at with
It
that?
passed to the legislature, and all it needed was Newsom's signature, and he could have vetoed the bill. Particularly, this shows me that he is not going to be the switch out for Biden.
Okay, well, and so well, tell me like yeah, this is your
Right,
topic that
right.
you're
Well,
bringing up,
yeah.
so
If you guys
tell me
don't
all
know,
about it.
Assembly Bill 1955 essentially cuts parents out of their child's lives while at school. So if if a child goes to a teacher or whatever and says, I want to be called, if it's a boy and they want to be called a girl's name or vice versa, or they come out and say, they come to a teacher and say like, oh, I think I am, again, if it's a girl and they'd say, I think I'm a boy, and vice versa, then there is, kind of like the reverse mandated reporter rule. Um, for those of you who don't know,
Yeah.
mandated reporting is that um, a teacher or someone that works with children, like if a child comes to them and tells them about like some abuse or something inappropriate happening in the home, then that person is mandated by law to go and report it. This new bill would
Yeah.
do the exact opposite. So if the child came and said, I'm having, I feel like I'm in the wrong body. I feel like, again, if it's a boy, he's like, oh, I think I'm a girl, and vice versa for a girl. I think I'm a boy. They are not required to inform the parents.
Now that's horrible enough, but does this all is it specifically just for kind of for that, or is this also when it comes to potential sexual assaults or like
Well, I
molestation
mean,
stuff like is are now they're
this is
not
where you get into that slippery slope. Because if they're already cutting them out for this stuff, then why would they not keep them in the dark about other stuff? Because I know
that's if that's the case that's
but I mean,
real
if
fucking
it's the
evil
teacher if
and
it's the
honestly
teacher who is engaging in the inappropriateness, then why would they rat themselves out?
well I know that but I'm just saying let's say a teacher who is innocent of those things but they doubt obviously are leaning towards the oh well we want to help the the kids who feel like that they're in the wrong body all that sort of stuff and are they gonna want to report that? Like, I mean, I don't. It seems like it seems real that that's even like even that could be something that is no longer gonna get reported back to not only the authorities but like the parents themselves.
Okay. Well, here, let me. This is from the California Policy Center. Governor Gavin Newsom has signed into law Assembly Bill 1955, a bill that takes the unprecedented and outrageous step of instructing school districts to lie to and keep secrets from parents about their own children. Introduced by Assemblyman Chris Ward of San Diego, Democrat, AB, Assembly Bill 1955
Shocker.
was pushed through a legislature as a gut and amend bill outside of the normal legislative calendar, of course, to invalidate the popular parental notification policies enacted by local school boards across the state. The policies require school administrators to inform parents if their child changes their name or gender on official school records. Newsom's new law does the opposite. It instructs school officials to lie to parents if their child changes their gender, name, or pronouns at school. The governor's action is a betrayal of the thousands of California parents and parent advocates who have spoken out against AB 1955 during the rushed committee hearings over the several weeks. We are disappointed to see the governor sign Assembly Bill 1955 legislation that unconstitutionally abrogates parental rights, said Lance Christensen, Vice President of Education Policy and Government Affairs at California Policy Center. Public schools are meant to support, not subvert, parents in their efforts to educate their children.
We're gonna see a rise up in homeschooling in private
Oh
schools.
yeah. Hold on. AB 1955 also opens the door to child exploitation. Creating a culture of secrecy from parents at school will lead to unsafe school environments where predators are able to move uh, to more easily groom vulnerable children. Ward and other AB 1955 sponsors have disingenuously defended their bill as needed to protect students from forced outing to unaccepting and abusive parents. Bullshit. Governor Newsom has okayed a bill that was based on a flawed logic that parents are dangerous and not to be trusted, and that the state or strangers are better positioned to deal with the difficulties of adolescence than parents, Christensen said. Hundreds of millions of dollars in settlements with victims of sex assault by public school employees is evidence that the opposite is often true. It's too often true. Unbelievable. Yeah,
God,
oh god, I hope, dude, if this doesn't get taken to the Supreme Court, I don't know, it might be time to move out of the state.
yeah. Because here's what's gonna happen. We're Because of this, yeah. Because especially with parents in the know, that their kids are out of public school, guaranteed. And what then California is gonna do, or even because we have uh, a national a federal education department, which should be disbanded, but be both the California state and federal government, I have a feeling that they are going to work to try to eliminate private and homeschooling as viable options, and that's what's going to happen next. I guarantee it, because I think a lot of parents are fed up with public schools. They are not uh, doing what they're supposed to do, and it seems like especially like in like New York here, they're actively trying to keep the parents out of like what's going on in those doors.
Right?
So because of that, now the parents are going to try to reinsert their rights and take over their child's education. But now the government's not getting there because they're getting funding by having students there. That's how they get the funding.
Right.
And if there's no students there because they're being taken out of those schools, well, then the government's going to be lobbied by these people, and then they are going to put in legislation to curb that.
Of course. But yeah, this is what this action from Newsom shows me that he's not going to be switched out for Biden, or they're not going to switch him out for Biden. Because if he was really trying to prepare himself for a presidential run, no way he would have signed this bill, because it would have then got into the national news, and then all the you know everyone in the Bible Belt would never allow, or in the in the flyover states, they would never allow Newsom to win presidency.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I don't even think it matters whether they switch Biden out or
No.
not. Like, I don't see them winning.
Yeah, because I mean, but because even if he did like stand down, they like 25th his ass, and Kamala were to be put forward.
The first of all, the lady who finished last in the Democratic
Right.
primary because no one voted for her.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, like she doesn't win, and like Gavin Newsom, like as much as like they people think that he's a suave, slick, kind of guy. You know, all the crappy things that he did to California are gonna come out, and like even just like during COVID when he locked everyone down, but him and his fucking uh, uh, what is it, the medical guys, or like the pharma guys going out to the French Laundry at $400 a plate, racking up a $700 wine bill. That shit's gonna come out. That shit's gonna
Yeah,
come out, and that's gonna hurt him. So if
yeah.
he really
I
was
think
considering a potential swap out, he wouldn't have signed this bill.
yeah, you're probably right. Or it's just kind of like one last fuck you to California on his way
Yeah,
out.
but it's more for me. This is screaming like, yeah, he doesn't give no shits, because he's not gonna try and become president.
Yeah, maybe he thinks like, hey, you know what, I'll just stay here. It's fine.
Right. Yeah, 'cause, I mean,
And be
he even
dictator of
said so as
California.
much in another in a like kind of like an impromptu like press meeting, press conference, where he was like, oh yeah, Joe Biden's the candidate. He basically stood down.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, wild man. I can't. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that this would be something that our state government would want to put out there. Because, I mean, are there any conservatives in our state government at this point? Not really.
yeah. It's like, I mean, the only guy who's like kind of making some noise, who's a Republican, was that guy Kevin Kiley, or he's in the
Yeah,
states, like I don't know, state Congress or state Senate. But yeah, he was kind of making some noise, and I think he was actually trying to run for governor during the recall.
yeah, okay. It just, man, it seems like such an uphill
Yeah.
battle in this state. Like it just, especially with like how our ballot
Oh
works.
yeah, the jungle primary. And again, I don't know why progressives aren't going after this. At least the name, because like, oh, jungle primary. Oh, because we're a bunch of especially the black people come out. It's like, oh, because we're all a bunch of savages.
Yeah, exactly.
Booga booga, motherfucker.
That was that from it's a Chappelle
Yeah.
show. Oh my gosh, I remember that. All right. Well, I think it's kind of fitting that we ended on that with potential of abuse happening from
Yeah.
teachers as we
Yeah,
talk
exactly. I
about
mean,
lady
yeah,
vengeance.
exactly. I mean, yeah, that was a good point to point out about like the abuse, and it was nice to see that in that uh, in that article from California Policy Center, they too also highlighted that the potential for abuses could arise.
Now, I'm not saying that like that's the intended desire of that. I
Dude,
really
at this,
I
I wouldn't be
don't think that
surprised.
I don't know,
I wouldn't be surprised.
but it just that door is now open, and some pervert predator teacher is going to do that. Is going to take advantage of that.
Right. I mean, as much as they go after like the Catholic priests or whatever, dude, you're statistically more likely to be molested by a public school teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, and also it's more likely to be a female teacher predating on a male student.
I know
Statistically,
that's been happening. That's
statistically,
been coming out a lot.
seriously.
That has been coming out a
Hmm.
lot recently. I've noticed that, but I mean, you'd think it'd be the other way around, but no, it's actually been like more of that
Right,
recently.
exactly. And I mean, if
And
you think
a
about
lot of
if you
the
think about it real fast, like to begin with, there aren't that many men in like primary or I would say like the
it's a female
all of the
dominated
times
role.
within public education I would consider primary. So like all the primary educators are majority women.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you hear about the creepy art teacher or whatever. Dude, they're in the valley, like at freaking Cleveland. There was a story that came out about
Mhm.
a teacher who was like kind of dating a student, and then it
Yep.
was kind of like it was a running
Yeah.
joke. It was kind of like the Harvey Weinstein, like worst kept secret, and like every like people, like they would always say, like there would always be a joke about like some teacher dating a student from Cleveland.
Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
disgusting.
All right. Well, as you said, let's move on. That'll be it for the discussion topics for tonight. So we'll transition into our movie review. And to remind you all, this month is Revenge Month, and we have several revenge themed movies. Well, actually, they're all from South Korea, and they're all revenge themed. So, and they're all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, they're all
They're all
very
very
good.
good.
Yeah. Oh
So
man.
yeah, let's get into it.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. And it's funny talking about like Lady Vengeance. I ended up liking it even more than I did initially when I first watched it.
I watched it not realizing it was Lady Vengeance, because I happened upon the movie and I started watching. It was kind of playing on like IFC, like Independent Film Channel or whatever, and then I happened upon it
Uh,
like kind of towards the beginning, but like towards like the middle, and so I didn't get like the full context, so I didn't know exactly what I was watching. But this time I finally watched it from the beginning, so I understood everything.
okay, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, all right. Let me hit everyone with a synopsis and we'll get going. The synopsis for Lady Vengeance. Lee Gum-ja has spent at least the last 13 years in prison for a murder she didn't commit. She's fantasized about getting revenge on the various people who wronged her, including the police officer who forced her to confess, and a shady teacher with whom she has a checkered past. After her release, she teams up with a group of eccentric friends she made while behind bars and sets out to clear her name and find the daughter she was forced to leave behind. This movie was released in the U.S. in 2006.
Yeah, yeah. And it has a couple different titles. Like here we had Lady Vengeance, but the alternate title was Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, kind of connecting it back to the first film in the trilogy. And I think the Korean name is
Yeah,
different too
it's
for the movie.
well, it's in Korean. It's 진절한 금자씨, which means 금자씨 is kind, and then 금자 is the name of the main character. So kind 금자,
Yeah.
which
So a
does
lot
make
of different
sense,
titles
right?
for
Which
this
does
film.
make sense because what is it? While in prison, she cultivated like even though her public persona was like this cold-hearted murderer of children, in prison she cultivated this angelic persona, and so like she was referred to as an angel and or like she was a kind person while in prison.
Yeah. And what's crazy about this too is now I don't know if we figure out who the father of her daughter is, but because she was she was either a teacher or a teaching assistant, and she got pregnant, and but she couldn't really tell her family because it was kind of it was kind of
It was a
having
scandal,
a
yeah, yeah.
scandal. Yeah, so she reached out to who turns out to be the villain of the film, Mr. Beck, who ends up using her for sexual favors, and like kind of uses her body, and also is kind of gets her in on his kidnapping scheme that he does, which she's not, and she thinks like that she has to go along with this. She's kind of, in a sense, she's being abused
Mm-hmm.
too, and gets stuck. And um, when the pressure comes on after killing the boy that uh, she essentially is forced to take the rap. Otherwise, he's going to kill her infant daughter. And that's kind of how the events go. So from like that point on, once she goes in, and the detective knows that
That she's
she
not guilty.
couldn't have
That she's
done
not
this,
guilty, or she's
but
not responsible. She's culpable but not responsible.
right, and but I think he knows that there's something going on, and that um, if she doesn't go through with this, her daughter's gonna die. Because Mr. Beck is like he's watching all the media following
Right.
her, like as she's
Right. The
recreating the crime
flashback
scene.
scene shows
Because that's
him,
why
yeah, with her kid, like in like the little like chest thing that parents would wear, like holding their baby and just like kind of like kind of
yeah,
hanging, like literally holding the baby as hostage. It's like watching her recreate the murder of the little boy.
and so that's how we start. And something also to note too, like the colors are very to start off in the movie, they're very vibrant. Everything's very colorful. And then as the movie continues on, that starts to fade away. Now, I don't know if you saw that version because there's a version that's called the fade to white version, which is what I saw, which was the director's intended version. And then there's one I think that just keeps the brightness of the colors.
Right. The one I saw towards the end with all of the victims' parents or family members coming together, it transitions like black and white.
Okay, yeah, that's the fade to white version. That's the one that I watched
Mm-hmm.
too. So like as the movie goes along, it goes from very, very vibrant to fading in, like all the color it fades into black and white. And I thought that was such a cool
Yeah,
idea.
I like that too.
Uh yeah, so she goes to prison. She's vilified and everything, but she ends up her plan for revenge starts now because she's like, okay, I'm gonna make this guy pay. And so she cultivates certain friendships by helping out some of the ladies in the prison. And I mean, I think it's specifically targeted because she knows that they have certain information that's going to be helpful
Or
for
certain
her later
skills.
on. Yeah, certain, and so I think it's like 3 or 4 women that she helps out.
Well, it seems like it was
and kind
pretty
of
much everyone within like her cell that that they all shared,
except for that,
except for like the bull
except
dyke.
for that. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god, she's fucking
yeah,
disgusting. Ugh.
yeah, because like she also like ate her husband and the mistress.
Oh yeah, dude. Like it's ah
Hey,
some with a nice
yeah, right.
Chianti.
But
She like, oh no, well, for in this case, it'd be like a nice soju, and
yeah, Makali.
yeah, yeah, Bokali, that's right.
For those of you who don't know,
Oh
makgeolli
my god,
is a fermented rice punch.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
because it's
good.
sweet.
My wife likes
Hmm.
that a lot. And yeah, and so and as the story is kind of told in a disjointed manner. So like as we meet certain characters, we cut back to the prison, like how they got connected, how much time that they had spent with our main
Yeah,
character,
it kind of reminded me
and
of Chicago. Yeah, the movie
Chicago,
Chicago, or like the stage show. Uh,
the
yeah.
musical. I've never seen
Well,
it.
yeah. Well, like they made a movie with Richard Gere and Catherine
Yeah,
Zeta.
yeah, yeah. I do know
But
that.
yeah, so they're kind of like talking about like what they're in for and how long. And so it kind of there's a part in the there's a dance number in Chicago where like the female prisoners are all talking about like what they did and what they're in for essentially. But it kind of reminded me of that. But,
What the one person I couldn't quite figure out as far as the character goes, there's that like pastor
mhm.
that she deals with who is kind of a
Yeah.
creep. Um, what's the deal with him? Like, what was because we see him at a couple points in the
Uh-huh.
film, but he doesn't really factor in to the story very much. Essentially, she tell like because when she gets out, like he hands her like the
Yeah.
tofu, and she essentially tells him to go fuck
Right.
himself.
I think. Yeah. I think he. No. I think she used him to maybe to help garner the reputation of a nice person, and then also like maybe help with like the parole board to get her released.
Oh,
And
okay.
so yeah, and so that's
Because we
and so
see
that's why
so
he has like this very kind of like almost husbandy vibes, or like because maybe she also gave him like the perception that like that she liked him, and like after she served her time they could be together. Because he was like saying like she came out just wearing the clothes that she went in with, and then, she was released during the winter time, and so she was wearing a sundress. And so like when they come face to face, she's
yeah.
like, "Oh, you're not wearing the coat that I sent you," and it was a very like kind of like it
Oh
was a very
yeah.
kind of protective like boyfriend husband thing. Uh, but
Yeah, and because we do see him connected with Mr. Beck too, like they know each
mhm,
other, and I'm wondering maybe that's why like she used him knowing that he's connected with the person that she wants to kill, and it was just more of like it was her one way to help get her out sooner to enact revenge, and once that was completed, she just said, "Yeah, go to hell."
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna watch this. Yeah, I have to watch this movie again because yeah, there's still some things that are not completely clear to me. So yeah, a second viewing.
What was the one that was? Yeah, that was the one like character I couldn't quite figure out, and like now I think going back to it another time, I'll focus in
Yeah,
on
because I don't. Yeah, because
his
I didn't
scenes
really
just to see like
understand like his connection with Mr. Beck.
I didn't understand that either. Like I wasn't sure if like they were friends and like maybe he was in on the whole kidnapping ransom thing or like what the hell
Or
is going
maybe
on
like
there?
or since maybe Mr. Beck knew that the pastor worked with the female inmates, so he was using the pastor, for like information and making sure, keeping tabs on her.
Oh, maybe, yeah. But yeah, so she gets out. She and we see her start to get her plan together. She puts on the red eyeshadow, um, because she doesn't want to look innocent. She wants to have like more of like a sinister look, and she looks good with that that red
Yeah,
eyeshadow.
it was a very like kind of like in the tradition of the vamp. You know, like the
Yeah,
lady vamp. Short short for vampire, but like there was a there was an archetype within early American cinema where like kind of the seductress called the vamp.
yeah, yeah. She does have that.
So that, yeah, I think that red eyeshadow kind of lends itself to that.
Yeah. So she does get a job at the bakery.
Hmm.
I also don't understand her, like, because she ends up getting together with I think it's the son of the baker,
I don't think
or
it's the
maybe
son.
he's just
I think
another
it's just a kid that works at the bakery.
he's just a kid that
Yeah.
works there, and he would have been the same age as the boy that was killed.
Right.
Um, what did you think about that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was transference, but like ultimately, she's when she gets out, she's essentially calling in all her favors because what is it? The owner of the bakery is a guy who used to volunteer at the prison, who taught marketable skills to the female prisoners. So when they got out, then they could secure themselves a job. And so
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
so I think that when she goes to get that job from that guy from the head baker, it's like, yeah, it's like her calling in that chip because like he was the one that taught her all of like the cake decorating skills.
Right. Right. No, I was just like, yeah, we see her call in all her favors, and we're not exactly sure what the plan is yet. But the no, it's just like the relationship that develops with the young man. That was I couldn't. It felt like there was some sort of significance to that because it was highlighted in the same age as the boy that died had he lived, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it's
There's
not
and
clear.
obviously he ends up
I don't
helping
know if
her.
there is one. Um, it might have been some sort of like guilt that was manifesting within her. Um,
Maybe,
but yeah,
yeah.
I don't think the relationship between her and the young man is that important.
Not okay. That's and then she ends up finding out the location of where her daughter ended up. She was adopted and
Yeah, by an
grew
Australian
up
couple.
in Australia. Yeah, that was also strange. Like it felt was she trying to like manipulate those her foster parents? It seemed like, she was just like I don't know what her plan was there either. I mean, obviously she wants to see her
Uh,
daughter, but the idea of um I don't know what she thought was
yeah.
going to
Well,
happen or like
maybe. Well,
because she didn't want to bring her to
right.
Korea.
Maybe her initial plan was for her, just for her to be able to let go of her daughter. You know, because yeah, because there was that scene where like the daughter asked like, "Oh, take me to Korea with you." They have like that shouting match. Like she's like, "No, I can't do it." And the daughter is like begging her, is like, "Please take me to Korea, take me to Korea." Um, so I don't think like bringing her back was part of her plan.
No, I think that was thrust
Yeah,
upon her. Okay, that's I think we're on the same page there because that's what I was thinking. It was just more because it didn't seem like she wanted to bring her to Korea because she has a plan that she has in place, and right now her daughter is not really a
right.
part of that. Now, the the foster parents end up coming to Korea as well later on, just because I think the daughter was, gone maybe a little
Right.
too
Yeah.
long. Do they are they dead at the end of that, at the end of the movie?
No, I don't think they're dead.
Okay, it's just that I was
Yeah,
like,
because like for some
it.
reason they're lying, they're all three of them are sleeping kind of weird on the bed with like their legs hanging over, you know, on the
Oh,
short
you know
side.
what? It's because I think they're probably much taller than like what you would have for like a Korean bed, because Koreans tend to be a little bit
Right. Well, no,
shorter,
but also
maybe.
because it was a twin size bed, so like at the most you could have two people, but you couldn't have all three people lying the long way, in the bed. So
Oh, okay,
yeah, so
that's what it
that's
is.
why they were sleeping on it, the horizontal, and so that's why their legs were hanging over the edge, because all three of them were trying to sleep, but
Eh? Like
right.
no, it's just probably okay. Now that makes more sense.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, then we meet up with Mr. Beck, and man, that guy
Son
is
of
a
a bitch.
real he's a real piece of shit,
Hmm.
dude. The because the one I don't know how the one of her fellow prisoners ended up getting hooked up with him,
Hmm.
because she was like married to him, I think, or like dating him. Uh, and he abused her just like Gunja was like abused.
Hmm.
And I don't know.
Unless it was part of the plan, because what was it? Because like
Oh,
she was she with the one that was getting basically assaulted by the bull dyke.
yes, yeah, that was her.
Okay, so yeah, she might have sent Kumja might have sent her, to like, hey, I saved your ass, so do this thing for me and go and get married to that guy.
Oh my God, yeah, that's I didn't think of that, but yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense that like she would even go that far.
Yeah,
Like that's to
I mean, just like kind of like the way that potentially Mr. Beck was using the pastor to keep tabs on Kumja. Kumja sent that girl to keep tabs on Mr. Beck.
Oh, very good point. Oh, that's a I didn't think of that. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Hmm.
And it's like, don't worry, no matter how bad things get, we'll kill this motherfucker
Right.
out
Exactly. Yeah.
because
So.
he's dead. He just
Hmm.
doesn't know it yet.
Hmm.
But the so she I think the school, the abandoned school that they go to, that's the school that they worked
That
at the
Mr. Beck,
time,
yeah,
like
that Mr.
where
Beck worked at.
yeah, and it's like abandoned in the woods,
Hmm.
and that's where they're gonna end up kidnapping him, and that's where they're gonna take him, and she initially is just gonna kill him like
Yeah.
herself, like
Outright.
and outright, but then she has a hard time going through with it,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden and I think obviously there's a reason for that, like she was stopped from doing that, and then she sees his phone,
Hmm.
and then all of a sudden she sees the marble, which is what the little boy used to play with,
Hmm.
and then all these other little trinkets on his phone, and
Yeah.
those are his trophies, and it's like
There's
there
more.
was more. Yeah.
So yeah, so it isn't just about my. It's not about my revenge. It should be about the revenge of, these parents, these families.
Oh dude, and then um she ends up talking with the detective that was involved in her case,
Hmm.
and it's like and I think she feels a lot of guilt because like we could have stopped this guy, we should have just stopped this guy back then. I
Hmm.
should have just sucked it up, and like I wish I had trusted you to help me
Hmm.
and not do it this way, because now was it three or four other kids have been killed because of this.
Hmm.
And oh my god. And then she ends up like searching
Yeah,
his
his home
office,
office.
and she finds the tapes taped under his desk
Hmm.
of like because he would record the kids like in like of the torture that he would put them through before he killed them. And it didn't look like they. I don't. Do you think that he sexually abused them, or was it just more like he was just annoyed?
He's just a
Because they say
sadist.
he was annoyed by kids.
Right.
Yeah, I think
No,
he's a
because
sadist, but like
yeah, yeah. I don't think it was a sexual thing. I think he just like for some reason he had a hatred of children, and yeah. So I don't think it was a sexual thing for him.
the most uh the toughest one to watch was the one where he essentially hung the kid
Oh yeah, yeah.
and like snapped dude and oh but so now it went from just being her own vengeance
Hmm.
and missing out on not just 13 years of her life, but she it messed up her daughter's life.
Hmm.
And she's like, but now it's like I got to give these families their vengeance
Hmm.
too, because this guy, and you hear the stories of like what happened to these people and the
Yeah.
fallout that it created. Uh, like
Yeah,
there was
families
people
broke
who,
up, or what is it? Spouses like they couldn't take it, so like they killed themselves, and or they
or they ran
or
it.
they had
What
to
was
literally
what
leave the country because it was like too painful for them to be there.
Yeah, well, and what this guy would do is he would kidnap the kids, beat them and torture them, and then before he killed them, and but he would use recordings of their voice so that
Oh, for the
and they were
ransom
already
calls.
dead when
Yeah.
but yeah, when he's like ransoming them off, and so he would take and these are all affluent families
Hmm.
that because these are private schools because he's an international school teacher, so these were affluent parents that are sending their kids there, so he's extorting money from them.
Hmm.
And in some cases the families they had a lot of money, but the like I said, the families broke up, people killed themselves. And then there was like that one family who literally the dad and the daughter lost everything, and they were because they were working to put their kid to their the
The
boy to the
brother. Yeah.
school,
Hmm.
and they ended up like being in debt, and their family abandoned them, and it's really horrible stuff.
Hmm.
And so she shows them the tapes, like what happened to their kid, like this is what happened, this is who did it to you.
Hmm.
And we have a couple options. We could let the police handle it. He goes to trial, whatever.
Hmm.
We go from there, or we can take our pound of flesh and kill this piece of shit.
Hmm.
Um,
Or
and they all end up,
the third option is also to let Kumja take care of it.
yeah, or like just let her just handle it all,
Hmm.
like, and take out all the hatred on him.
Hmm.
And they choose the option after some deliberation.
Yeah.
They decide to like, no, it's not gonna bring our kids back, but you know what? We need
Yeah. It'll
this.
make me feel
And
better.
yeah. Oh, dude, they really go to town on this fucker.
Hmm.
They
Yeah,
stab him, they
that one
cut him.
guy with like the like just the handle. It's like, and then like one of the parents is like, I was like, do you think that's like you want to borrow mine? And then he takes out the other half, and it's like the axe.
Dude, that was like this that was fucking gnarly. I like
Yeah,
the axe.
yeah,
That dude like took a hand or something. I don't know what he
yeah.
cut off,
Seriously, yeah.
but
He took
man.
something. He chopped something off.
But yeah, it's yeah, they're all wearing their like Dexter style
Yeah, rank. Oh,
you know
their American Psycho raincoats.
yeah, the American Psycho raincoat. They um and bro, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like and as this is going on, like so now like you don't even realize it, but like the film has been changing color
Hmm.
throughout, and like this is where now it goes into black and white.
Hmm.
And I think at its most somber and serious moment, it's in black and white, and it makes the blood look more gruesome, and
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been also for censorship reasons, but kind of like with the Kill Bill thing, like just before the massacre at the bar, it flashes to black and white. So because of the blood and stuff.
Well, but there is a version that it's all in color
Mhm.
and it keeps that vibrance. So I'm wondering if they have the blood because I don't know if the censorship is as strong in Korea
Right.
when it comes to
Uh-huh.
violence.
Although, yeah, the Fade to White version that might have been inspired by Kill Bill,
It's very possible, yeah, because this was 2005.
right?
Um, but it's like, yeah, it's not like a sudden like, oh, boom, we're in black and white
Right,
when she
right. It's a
blinks her eyes
gradual
and we
transition.
come out of
Yeah.
it. But yeah, it that is a very targeted thing because uh, you don't even realize the transition. It's like all of a sudden, when I was watching this with my wife when we first watched it, we were like, "Wait, it's." She was like, "Why is it in black and white? Like, did like something go wrong?" I was like, "It's. I think this is deliberate." And
Okay. Did she
because
accuse you of trying to make her watch a black and white movie?
I yeah, well, I think that's why she doesn't like this one as much is because it does. She didn't like that part of it. It's like
Mm.
I thought it was awesome. I thought they did. It's a really cool transition that they do,
Hmm.
and
I appreciated it. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, then they cut this guy up. They throw him in a shallow grave along with all the
The implements and
yeah
they even take a cute commemorative photo.
yeah just to make sure that that this is a pact.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
That
we're not gonna
we
rat on
all
each
did.
other.
Yeah. None of our hands are clean now. We all did this. We all decided upon it. Like anyone who squeals, like you're gonna go down with us.
Yeah, it's like a fucked up death club,
Hmm.
And then they go to the bakery,
Hmm.
and
Yeah. The cake.
yeah, the it's kind of like a birthday celebration,
Hmm.
um, and it feels like
Yeah, I mean
all
it's a
the
type of rebirth, because these people finally get closure for their loved one, and they could truly move on and start their new lives.
yeah, and this is also the part that kind of confused me a little bit too because we now have our well, it snows and like obviously there's this heavenly. It's kind of like oh wow, like uh, it's like God spoke like our kids are okay, like they're able to rest in peace now because their murderer has been taken out. And I also thought it was kind of cool the trinkets are in like vibrant color, so it's like they stand out a lot. And we have in the bathroom scene, like she has the marble, the red marble,
Hmm.
and she sees the vision of the young boy
Hmm.
who uh ends up like she's trying to say like I trying to tell him something and he puts a gag in her mouth and all of a sudden we cut back to him being fully grown and at first I was like what's it was just saying like you don't have to was it just him saying like you don't have to say anything like it's you've got your revenge
Hmm.
and we're it's kind of like I'll he's not going to haunt her again.
Right,
I thought that that's maybe that's
because
what they were going for.
possibly, yeah, because I mean the transition from the kid to the adult version of the kid, yeah, I mean signifies change, and like it's no longer a haunting, because she was haunted by the little boy, but now that that revenge has been committed and justice has been served, the like it's something different now. It's no longer that she's haunted by him, but
Right.
I think she still holds the the guilt of him not being able to live his life.
I see. I see. Um, and then she's walking back home, and we the her coworker slash kind of her fling
Mm-hmm.
is following her. Like singing that song. I was like, is he? At first, I was like, just with as fucked up as this movie is like, is he gonna like do something like is she gonna end up dead in
Right.
this like scenario like where it was kind of like kind of a creepy song like his like Randy Newman esque like it's very catchy by the way, but it was a little weird.
Mm.
And then that's where like I got confused because you see the Jenny and her foster parents in bed, and you have kind of the ethereal smoke, and I was like, is are they like being suffocated in their house in like her house or
Mm.
something, and like they're dead, and Jenny just happens to wake up and survive it, and I don't know. I thought something like more sinister was going to happen at the end, and
Mm.
just really kind of put a stamp on like the sadness that is in this film.
Mm.
But that's not what happens. She ends up having that moment with her daughter where it's now that she wants to the slate is wiped clean, and now we can live like white as snow.
Yeah. Which
That's what she
ties.
wants Jenny to do.
Yeah, which ties into the
Yeah.
beginning of the film because the pastor that gives Kunja the tofu, like the tofu is symbolic because tofu is white and like white is associated with purity and new life. So like the prisoners are given the tofu to eat to consume so that the goodness, the purity would enter their bodies. And so similarly, Kunja she makes an all white kind of square cake that kind of resembles tofu. Um, and she tells her daughter, live a good life, like be pure as this, cake is pure. And she takes like a little bite of it, and then she shares some with her mother, and in English says, it's like, oh, you live a good life too. Um, which then, she then proceeds to bury her face into the cake.
Yeah, and gorges herself on it.
Yeah,
And then
and
that's
that's
it.
it.
That's the movie. Um yeah, any other like thoughts on Lady Vengeance?
No, not really. I definitely have to give this another viewing because at first I wasn't really feeling this movie too much. Um, Especially with like kind of like the flashback scenes. But
Yeah.
when it got to when they brought all the parents and the family members of the slain kid together, I really enjoyed that scene because it felt very much like 12 Angry Men. Like kind of like the
Yeah.
kind of the
Oh,
deliberating. It's like, oh, should we be the one to kill him, or should we turn him over to the justice system, or should we just let Kumjak take care of it? Just like kind of the back and forth and like the rationales, and kind of like the emotions. It's like, no, like we have to be the ones to kill him, for our family, for our children's sake. You know.
yeah. Yeah, this is definitely not a watch it one time and oh, I got it. No, there's a lot to dig into, and um I'm definitely gonna watch it again at some point
Mm-hmm.
because I do like it. How would you rate it, Andy?
For me, I mean, just as I viewed it, I'm gonna go a little bit higher, and I'd say I'm gonna give this a 3.5 for now.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm kind of at I'm actually with you because this is of the trilogy, this is my least favorite,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's also very good. I do like it,
Right.
and I'm with you. The initial part, it's like, wait, how is this going to come together? Like, and it seems a little silly
Mm-hmm.
at first, but then like once the plan starts to come together, that's when it start. Okay, now this is I like this part of the film,
Yeah.
uh, and like I said, I think the other movies are better, as we'll talk about in the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the actress. I think she does a great job in the role,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, that scene where they torture that fucker to death. Oh man, that was so that was I liked it a lot. I thought it was great. And I like the idea of it, like, just slowly, the movie slowly fading into black and white. Um, I think is fit of genius. I like that they did that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
mean, I'm
three and a
glad.
half for
Yeah, and
me.
I'm glad that I saw the fade to white version as opposed to seeing the one that was just all in color.
Yeah, so this is your first time watching it, right?
Yeah, I mean, technically not, but I'm gonna treat it as though it is the first time I'm watching it.
Your first
Yeah,
full
first
watch
full
of it.
viewing. Yeah.
Um, have you like I know you've seen Old Boy, but had you seen the other one that we're gonna be talking about next
I
week?
hadn't. Yeah,
You
up
have?
until just like I think that even a couple of years ago when you first mentioned the Vengeance trilogy, I didn't even know that Old Boy was part of this trilogy. I mean, I know they're only connected thematically and not necessarily story wise. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't even know.
All right. Well, yeah, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance is next week, so we'll dive into that. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there you have to look forward to. All right, folks, there you have it. That's our review for Lady Vengeance. Both Robert and I give this a 3.5. Uh, Perhaps after a second or multiple viewings, we could amend our review. But as it stands right now, 3.5. So yeah, we would definitely recommend this movie.
Absolutely.
All right, folks. With the review concluded, that brings us to the end of our stream tonight. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. I know Rob always has a good time.
Always, always.
And we hope you had a good time as well. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to check out the library of other shows we have. The Circle of Jerks main podcast. Old episodes are nocturnal transmissions, of course, with the movie reviews, as well as Rob's gaming show, Up by Up Down. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media accounts, formerly Twitter, now X, and Letterboxd at PodcastCOJ, and Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. We thank you again for joining us tonight. Come back next week, and we'll do it all over again. Have a good night.